Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 11.
A potent line of thunderstorms working towards central and eastern Kentucky. We'll break down the threats just ahead.
I'll have highlights from the only televised debate in the Kentucky U.S. Senate race.
A Lexington man is arrested after police say he had sex with a young girl he met online. Tonight, keeping your kids safe on the computer.
WKYT News at 11 starts now.
Good evening. We continue to track strong, potentially severe storms headed for our area. They're slowly rolling in our direction tonight.
We have declared a WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day to keep you up to date. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey tells us when those storms will arrive.
Yeah, a little bit of good news late this evening in the fact that the storms still have not crossed the Interstate 65 corridor, so we're still several hours away from them. Basically, the forecast we were giving you earlier for the late night arrival of those storms is currently right on pace. Now, tornado watch does continue for the Interstate 65 corridor that's well to our west. The Storm Prediction Center does not anticipate in the short term extending that watch into parts of central Kentucky. So that is the bit of good news. Now, we continue to be under a flash flood watch through 8 o'clock on Tuesday evening. Here's live First Alert Defender. When we last talked to you at 6 o'clock, that line of thunderstorms was not showing up on our live sweep. It is now getting into our range, but it is weakening the farther east that it gets. Still torrential rain showing up from Louisville down toward Elizabethtown and right on into Bowling Green and Glasgow. Overall, that line is slowly but surely working its way toward the east. But notice how the southern extent of that is a little stronger down around Nashville, Tennessee. That's robbing a little bit of the northward transport of the deeper moisture and instability into parts of Kentucky. Now, the individual storms are drifting toward the north and actually racing toward the north at a pretty good clip. The overall line, though, is working slowly, and I mean slowly, toward the east. So that means as we go into late tonight and Tuesday, the potential for heavy rains will be the primary threat that I'm seeing as of now. Secondary threat would be wind and a much smaller hail and tornado threat. As of now, things continue to progress toward the potential, guys, for this storm to refire as we go into Tuesday. Coming up with your hour-by-hour forecast, we'll show you the latest trends among our computer models and the timing of when those lines get into central and eastern Kentucky.
Chris, thank you. The storms headed our way hit Arkansas hard earlier today. The National Weather Service confirming 2 tornadoes in the state. One hit about 150 miles southwest of Little Rock, killing a man and injuring his wife and 3 children. The second touched down about 30 miles southeast of Little Rock. A woman in Alabama also died when storms knocked a tree down on her house. Remember, we can help you track storms even if you are away from the TV. On WKYT.com, you can look at the First Alert Defender and zoom right into your neighborhood. You can also download the WKYT app for your iPad or your smartphone. It will connect you to weather tools, including live radar. A showdown tonight in Kentucky's race for U.S. Senate. Republican Senator Mitch McConnell and Democratic challenger Allison Lundergan Grimes faced off in their first and likely the only debate before next month's election.
From jobs and the minimum wage to coal, the candidates tonight covered a lot of topics. WKYT's Jarek Insko has more from the debate at KET.
It was the only televised debate in the Kentucky U.S. Senate race, and it's now over here at KET in Lexington. Crowds brought enthusiasm while 2 of the 3 candidates brought answers. Senator Mitch McConnell and Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes were welcomed with a big crowd. It was here at KET for a 1-hour debate, the only one televised between the 2. Supporters of both these candidates showed up. But everyone was focused on what was happening inside the studio, not outside, as the 2 went head-to-head.
I don't fault Senator McConnell for becoming a multimillionaire on the backs of hardworking Kentuckians.
Her family's made more money off the government in the last 10 years than I've been paid in a salary in all my time in the Senate.
Among the various topics discussed between Grimes and McConnell, raising the minimum wage and bringing more jobs to the bluegrass state both stuck out.
The minimum wage increase that she advocates is going to cost us a lot of jobs for young people.
To enact a jobs plan. I'm the only candidate in this race with a jobs plan. That's how we put Kentucky back to work.
With it being one of the most closely watched Senate races, both candidates had a final push at the end, addressed straight to their voters.
Kentuckians know my record. It's a record of being an independent thinker, putting the partisanship aside and putting the people of this state first.
Called me the hardest working member of the United States Senate out of 100. We have a chance here to have the hardest working senator for another 6 years.
Senator, Secretary, thank you very much for being here tonight on Kentucky Tonight.
Now, after the debate, both advisors said their candidate was the strongest, but that'll be up to voters come Election Day on November 4th. In Lexington, Jerica Insko, WKYT.
Now, last week's Bluegrass poll showed Grimes with a 2-point lead. The previous Bluegrass poll, done in August, shows Senator McConnell with a 4-point lead.
A Lexington man accused of having sex with a young girl he met online went before a judge this afternoon. Investigators say Grant Bertram traveled to Florida to have sex with a girl between 12 and 16 years old. According to an arrest warrant, Bertram met the girl while playing the online game World of Warcraft. WKYT's Garrett Weimer talked to an expert to find out how you can protect your children when they're online. The story is new at 11.
Folks in Lexington say the arrest of their neighbor as an accused sexual predator calls into question whether they're doing enough to keep their kids safe.
It really pulls the carpet out from under you. It makes us rethink our strategies now for, protecting our children and what we need to do for, our neighborhood.
It's an increasing concern, especially because of the internet. One nonprofit group says it's important for parents to know what their kids are up to online because something that can start out innocent enough can end up anything but.
It's a very different world now than what it was when I was growing up.
Jill Seifert is the executive director of Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky, which publishes a guide for internet safety. She says parents shouldn't be afraid to watch what their kids are doing on the computer.
They like their privacy and they don't want to feel like mom or dad are looking over their shoulder. But as the mom or dad, you need to let your kids know that you are looking over their shoulder.
That's because she says even in a virtual world, there can be a lot of very real predators. In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Bertram's hearing was continued until October 24th. He's being held at the Fayette County Detention Center on a $200,000 bond.
We are learning tonight there are still some unknowns about the investigation into a hotel explosion. It happened at the Fairfield Inn and Suites in Beaumont Center back on September 7th. In a newly released report, the Lexington Fire Department says it confirmed a car crashed into the hotel's gas meter before the explosion. But the report goes on to say firefighters could not narrow down what specifically sparked the explosion. A Southern Kentucky family is dealing with the loss of 3 members of their family following a weekend fire. Lisa and David Perkins and their 2-year-old granddaughter Shailene Crabtree died in the fire on Sycamore Trail in McCreary County. Crabtree's parents say their little girl brought them a lot of joy, and it's hard to believe she's gone.
If I can get a message out to anybody out there, hold your babies tight and never let them out of your sight. That tomorrow is not ever guaranteed.
Investigators say the fire is accidental, possibly caused by an electrical problem. The family thinks a heater might be to blame.
A woman wants to help some eastern Kentucky firefighters, even though she lives hundreds of miles away from them. Rhonda Estep and Gregory Alley were in the Warfield Fire Department's main fire engine when they tried to cross a bridge in Martin County last month. The bridge collapsed, sending the truck into a creek. Kate Chapman of Goshen, Indiana, saw the story and set up a GoFundMe account for the department.
That kind of touches at your heartstrings, that our pain helped her.
The Warfield Fire Department already had an online fundraiser set up. They're hoping to combine theirs with Chapman so people can donate in one place.
If you're planning to watch Big Blue Madness from home this year, there are some things you need to know about. For the first time in 20 years, no local television station will air it live. ESPNU will do live look-ins during its Midnight Madness show. If you want to watch Big Blue Madness in its entirety, you'll have to watch it on ESPN3, which is ESPN's online channel. We have all the information on where you can see Big Blue Madness on WKYT.com. Tonight, we're learning more about a Dallas nurse who is the first known patient to contract Ebola in the U.S.
She caught the virus while treating the first patient here to die of the disease. But as Craig Boswell reports, health experts still don't know exactly how she contracted it.
Hazmat teams decontaminated the Dallas apartment of Nina Pham, the newest face of Ebola in the U.S. The 26-year-old nurse contracted the disease while treating Thomas Eric Duncan at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital. Duncan was the first person diagnosed with Ebola in the U.S. and last week became the country's first fatality. Pham treated him while wearing full protective gear.
We have to rethink the way we address Ebola infection control.
The CDC says there was a breach in protocol and that Pham might have been exposed while removing the protective gear. The hospital has since started a buddy system in which workers supervise each other while suiting up and removing the gear. But that's a very recent change.
We need to consider the possibility that there could be additional cases, particularly among the healthcare workers who cared for the index patient when he was so ill.
President Obama spent much of the day focusing on the U.S. response to Ebola, both here at home and in West Africa, where more than 4,000 people have died. The president huddled with national security and public health officials for a conference call with other world leaders. The CDC says the key to stopping Ebola's spread around the world is to contain the virus in West Africa. Craig Boswell, CBS News, the White House.
Doctors for an Ebola patient in Nebraska say that he is showing signs of improvement. TV cameraman Ashoku Mukpo returned from Liberia last week for treatments. A Kentucky company is working around the clock to make a drug used to treat Ebola. The Courier-Journal reports Kentucky Bioprocessing in Owensboro is hiring more staff and will spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week producing Z-MAP. The drug is made from tobacco plants. The goal is to get it approved as soon as possible. Ebola survivors Dr. Kent Brantley and Nancy Wright-Bolt received Z-MAP. It's not clear what role it played in their recovery.
2 lawsuits have been filed against Kentucky Kingdom. The person suing in each lawsuit claims they were sent down a water slide with the wrong tube, fell, and got hurt. A Louisville television station reports one person suffered a shoulder injury, the other a head injury. Kentucky Kingdom says it does not comment on pending litigation. A Corbin hospital had to go outside its walls to find the best treatment for one of its patients. James Wathen has been at Baptist Health Corbin for more than a month. The staff noticed his emotional health getting worse the longer that he went without his dog. The dog was sent to foster care when he went into the hospital, but the Knox Whitley Animal Shelter helped track it down. Wathen and his dog were reunited Saturday, and he's doing much better since then.
Everyone from the director of security to a couple of the social workers on the floor, the ladies that you see here with me, it was definitely a village effort, and we were very happy to make it happen.
The hospital and shelter plan to make the visits a regular occurrence. The hospital plans to implement a pet visiting policy for similar cases in the future. Dogs are lovers, and when you can do something like that for somebody who's hurting, that's special.
They mean so much, that's for sure. Good for those folks. Well,